Welcome back to Scary Hours, my good people. I'm your host, P, your guide through the darkest corners of the horror section, where we dig up the forgotten gems and cult nightmares hiding in plain sight. Shout out to all the returning subscribers. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that bell before you go so you know when I drop a new video. Tonight, we're diving into 5 horror movies from the legendary VHS era, streaming free on Tubi. Each one a time capsule of the 80s and 90s horror madness. From satanic serial killers to mind-controlled teens, comic book demons, and genetically engineered monsters, this lineup is pure midnight movie gold. So, let's dive in. First off, The First Power. A 1990 horror film directed by Robert Resnikoff, starring Lou Diamond Phillips, Tracy Griffith, and Jeff Kober, follows a LAPD detective and a psychic who must stop a sadistic serial killer armed with supernatural powers who has been resurrected by dark forces. This is one of those old school B movies that didn't do too great back when it was released in the early 90s, but gathered a cult following in its later years. A good mix of neo-noir detective and supernatural thriller. We see La 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 Bamba. Lou Diamond Phillips playing the LA detective that captures a lunatic wreaking havoc on the city known as the Pentagram Killer, but soon discovers that the murderer was made even stronger after his execution and being resurrected by Satan with the ability to possess others, teleport, and leap from the roof to tall buildings without a scratch. Nice eerie score through the film, and the body hopping sequence give off a vibe similar to Denzel's Fallen. This is one of those campy, forgotten gems, perfect for a late night watch, so check it out. Then after that, check out some of the behind the scenes stories about odd things happening on the set. You can find that on YouTube. Next, Disturbing Behavior. A 1998 sci-fi horror film directed by David Nutter, starring James Marsden, Katie Holmes, and Nick Stahl, follows a new student in Cradle Bay who befriends a group of outsiders and soon suspects that the town's eerily perfect high school clique hides a dark secret. You'll find this one in the horror section because the idea of actually being surrounded by so many dangerous brainwashed teens and stuck in an unfamiliar environment is the terrifying part, especially when you're the new kid in town and the first person you meet and make friends with is the paranoid one warning you about all the disturbing behavior he's witnessed, but then becomes next in line as a victim of the mind control experiment. It's all about conformity and cutting out teenage rebellion to force perfection on the students. But just like real life horny teens, once their hormones get out of whack, they start to glitch and malfunction, then the horror kicks in. Another 90s cult favorite for horror fans with a good blend of satire and shock value. Not a lot of blood and gore, just a tense situation. Overall cool movie, so give this one a watch.
Class. Welcome.
Up next, Cellar, Dwellar. A 1987 monster horror movie directed by John Carl Buechler, starring Yvonne DiCarlo, Brian Robbins, and Jeffrey Combs. 30 years ago, a comic book artist brought a demonic creature to life through his art. Now a new artist unleashes the monster after drawing it herself. This movie is just right for an October night, and since we're just about halfway there now, I'll put this one on your mind. Cellar Dweller is a comic-style creature feature delivering old-school Tales from the Dark Side vibes, where creativity is a curse and imagination is the weapon. The legendary Jeffrey Combs makes a cameo appearance at the beginning as the first artist to see the demon emerge from his sketch pad. Now a new comic book artist unleashes the monster from her own drawings in an art institute's basement. It's a fun, cheesy 80s monster movie with some pretty good practical effects for the time. There were a lot of these kind of flicks that filled up the horror section back in the day. I just feel like Cellar Dweller went under the radar. So, give it a shot for free on Tubi. Next, To Die For 2, Son of Darkness. A 1991 horror movie directed by David Price, starring Rosalind Allen, Steve Bond, and Michael Prade. A woman learns that her adopted infant is the son of a legendary vampire. This is the sequel to the equally hard to find To Die For of '89, which was sort of a Dracula love story. This one's not too far from the same trope. Here the film reimagines Vlad Tepes as Dr. Max Schreck, a seductive vampire living under a new identity as the town's doctor, falls head over heels for a lady who frequently brings her adopted baby into emergency care, unaware that her baby's issues are of the vampire nature, since it is his child. Plus, there's a rival vampire that threatens Vlad's existence because he doesn't approve of Vlad's rules. It's a gothic horror with a melodramatic flair, a little less horror and more dark romance, even though there's a couple kills and some blood. Okay, but dated effects and decent acting, the movie runs on the forbidden love cliche. I remember finding this at the video store back in the day and was surprised to see it streaming on Tubi. So you'll have to catch a copy of the first one filming on YouTube, but definitely recommend calling these a guilty pleasure for those like myself who love anything vampire, so you should definitely check them both out.
You're forgetting your place, brother.
This is my place.
You play by my rules.
You haven't made a kill in months. You're as weak as a puppy. Fuck with me and you'll die.
Last but not least, Watchers. A 1988 sci-fi horror film directed by John Hess, starring Corey Haim, Michael Ironside, and Barbara Williams. A teenager rescues a stray golden retriever only to discover it's result of a secret genetic experiment and being hunted by a deadly creature. This one's loosely based on the Dean Koontz novel. This film pairs 80s legend Corey Haim with a genetically engineered super dog hunted by a dangerous creature from the same lab who shares some kind of psychic link. The chase starts after the monster attacks Corey's girlfriend and her dad. Then the dog follows him home, trying to warn him of the danger that's lurking. All while Michael Ironside plays a ruthless agent with his own secret motives for catching the dog and the monster. Another one of those VHS era low budget creature features that's been lost over time. Feels like horror with the heart as we watch the emotional bond build up between the boy and the dog through their fight for survival. And some decent practical effects for the monster when they finally show it. This spawned 3 direct-to-video sequels that basically recycle the same plot, but get kind of silly after part 2. But the best ones, Watchers and Watchers 2, are both streaming on Tubi, so make it a double feature.
Sheriff's office. What? You're the maintenance man. What school?
It's right to high school. I'm in the basement at the high school. There's a big problem out here. There's something terrible going on.
Just hold on now. Take it easy.
It's like someone's being...
All right, folks, there you have it. That wraps up another list of 5 free horror flicks to remind us why Tubi is a treasure chest for horror fans with a crazy library of forgotten VHS nightmares. That's tonight's lineup, so grab your popcorn, cut the lights, and let the late night nostalgia begin. Don't leave without sharing this video, liking and subscribing to the channel for more Scary Hours heat to come your way. And remember, keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. I'm P, and this has been Scary Hours. Y'all be safe out there. Peace.